All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a story analysis that is equal parts hilarious and, well, surprisingly educational from a business standpoint. We're going to explore how a simple, desperate craving for home country street food right in the middle of France turned into a chaotic yet highly profitable international business venture. So let's jump right into this incredibly fun narrative involving the famous cartoon duo Motu and Patlu as they navigate an absolute culinary crisis while on a European tour.
Now, I have to ask, have you ever felt that deep, almost desperate longing for your local comfort food while traveling in a foreign country? It's a hugely relatable human experience. I mean, you're surrounded by the beautiful sights of Paris, perhaps some of the finest cuisine in the world, but your stomach is just stubbornly demanding that one specific spicy, deep-fried snack from back home. And it's exactly this universal feeling that anchors the rather absurd premise of our story today.
And absolutely no one feels this desperation quite like Motu. His dramatic complaint perfectly sets the stage here. He literally says, "My condition is like a fish out of water." He hasn't had a single samosa since they started their European tour, and he makes it abundantly clear to his buddy Patlu that he absolutely needs one to survive. But as you can imagine, finding authentic Indian samosas casually strolling around Paris isn't exactly easy. So what do you do when the market totally lacks the product you want? Well, you create it yourself.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the foundation of any business: supply and demand. Motu manages to track down a local Indian shopkeeper. Now, the shopkeeper rightly points out that it's hard to find samosas because there just aren't enough people eating them to justify making them, right? Supply always rests on demand. But Motu immediately counters with, "I am making the demand, now you do the supply." He offers to pay whatever it takes just to get his hands on the ingredients. The shopkeeper, feeling a bit of camaraderie with a fellow Indian, actually agrees to help them out.
So, they strike a deal. Motu enthusiastically secures what we can essentially call a one-hour commercial kitchen lease. The shopkeeper gives him the space and the ingredients, but with one absolutely strict, non-negotiable condition: the shop must not suffer any damage whatsoever. Keep this rule in mind, because in the chaotic world of Motu and Patlu, a rule like no property damage is basically a guaranteed incoming disaster.
Section 1. Production Nightmares, from eating to cooking. Okay, so there is a massive, and I mean massive, disconnect between loving to eat food and actually knowing how to make it. Motu has unlimited enthusiasm, but literally zero culinary skill. To solve this, they rely on a remote consultation. Motu video calls his friend back home, Chaiwala, for step-by-step instructions. And what's super funny here is Chaiwala actually gets all dressed up just to look good on the camera. But the execution? A total disaster. Chaiwala says to take flour in a pan and add water. Motu completely botches the water to flour ratio and accidentally prepares enough dough to feed the entire neighborhood.
You know, literal miscommunication can become incredibly dangerous in a kitchen. The chaos really ramps up when Chaiwala tells Motu to put it on the fire. Due to some rapid-fire confusion and just the sheer panic of the moment, Motu literally picks up his friend, Ram, and nearly puts him on the stove instead of the cooking wok. Chaiwala has to absolutely scream through the screen just to stop him.
But saving his friend doesn't save the kitchen. While trying to boil the potatoes for the samosa filling, the ultimate production failure happens. Boom! The pressure cooker violently explodes. Potatoes go flying absolutely everywhere. Remember that one golden rule the shopkeeper had? No property damage allowed? Yeah, scratch that. The rule is officially broken. The shop is heavily damaged, and the loud explosion attracts a very angry, highly destructive mob of locals.
Let's move to Section 2, Innovative Labor Sourcing, Managing the Mob.
So, they are now staring down an angry mob ready to literally tear them apart for ruining the shop. But Patlu, who is definitely the brains of the duo, comes up with this ingenious survival tactic. He frames this furious mob not as a threat, but as a guerrilla labor outsourcing strategy. He uses this brilliant psychological trick, stopping the mob to say, "Look, if you want to take your anger out on Motu, pretend these potatoes are him and smash them." And the mob enthusiastically agrees. Patlu keeps going. Still angry? Violently chop these onions. Want to flatten him? Roll out this massive pile of dough. He magically redirects the mob's destructive, physical rage into highly efficient, completely free prep work for their samosas.
And the sheer absurdity here is that it actually works flawlessly. One of the angry locals literally stops and says, "I'm feeling relaxed, as if we smashed them." The locals willingly do all the heavy lifting in the kitchen while genuinely believing they are just venting their physical frustration. Even when someone points out they're clearly just being used for free labor, they don't even care because the therapeutic smashing just feels too good.
Thanks to their angry outsourced workforce, all the prep is finally done. The final step is simply dropping the stuffed dough into the hot oil. But in true slapstick comedy fashion, Motu is so distracted by his sheer excitement that he grabs Kasidaram again, almost tossing his friend into the frying pan for a second time. Thankfully, he is stopped, the samosas actually make it into the oil, and the product is finally ready.
Bringing us to Section 3. The product launch, a sensation in Paris. The authentic samosas are finally fried. They look absolutely perfect, and Motu is more than ready to eat. But right at that exact moment, the furious shopkeeper arrives back to assess his kitchen. He takes one look at his ruined store, the exploded cooker, and the absolute disaster zone left behind by the mob, and he just loses it. His immediate reaction is pure rage. "You destroyed my shop. I will take you to court." He threatens a massive lawsuit, and it genuinely looks like Motu and Patlu's culinary adventure is going to end in severe international legal trouble.
But then, the market steps in. This is the crucial turning point. The incredible, irresistible aroma of those freshly fried Indian spices wafts out of the broken shop and straight into the streets of Paris. This highly authentic smell unexpectedly draws in a massive crowd of curious French locals. They literally follow their noses right into the middle of this heated legal argument.
When the locals ask what this amazing food is, Patlu steps up and confidently introduces it as the Indian samosa. And the price? $10. $10 for a single samosa. An ordinary street snack, which is usually sold for literally pennies back home, suddenly transforms into a highly valued, premium international commodity, purely based on its new location and this incredible, sudden demand.
And let me tell you, the market validation is explosive. The Parisian crowd doesn't even blink at the $10 price tag. They excitedly wave their cash around, shouting, "Give me one, give me two, we want more!" They're literally scrambling over each other just to get a taste of this exotic delicacy. The entire dynamic inside that ruined shop completely shifts in an instant, from a looming legal disaster to a booming sales floor.
Seeing this unbelievable cash flow, the shopkeeper experiences the ultimate business pivot. Witnessing the locals happily handing over $10 per samosa, he instantly abandons all threats of a massive lawsuit. Poof, gone. Instead, he looks at Patlu and eagerly proposes a lucrative samosas in Paris business partnership. He sees the golden opportunity right in front of him. They even start serving fresh coconut water to keep the customers happy while they fry up the next batch.
It is an incredibly fun story of accidental entrepreneurship, but it leaves us with this final, really interesting thought. Can sharing a good meal truly connect the world? This story perfectly highlights the universal appeal of Indian street food, showing us how a shared passion for cooking and eating can resolve international misunderstandings. A simple craving bridged a massive cultural divide here, turning utter chaos, an exploded kitchen, and an angry mob into a sweet, highly lucrative success story. Food really is a universal language, and sometimes a little taste of home is exactly what a global market needs. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it gave you both a good laugh and some real food for thought.